Welcome to Behind the Model, a show diving into the virtual world and exploring its stories with the VTubers who lead the way. VTubing's roots are in Japan. For many, it's a pilgrimage to go visit the East Asian nation and experience its beloved culture and see just how the virtual world is taken over. Utano Pandora lived that dream, or at least that life, for 7 years. The performer at heart has many stories to tell from that experience for sure, but that's not the only part of their life. Today, we'll learn a little bit more about that broader journey. Pandora, welcome to Behind the Model.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to have you on. I have been following you from back when you were in Japan and then now since you've moved back home, and all that kind of jazz. And it's been interesting to see how your journey's gone over time. And I guess that's the best way to start off this story is what kind of prompted you to move over in the first place? What kind of events in your life kind of took you to this place that is so idolized in the VTubing space?
Well, I've always loved Japan and Japanese culture since I was young. Since I was about 12, and I started studying Japanese and such, and then Korea sort of gave me the opportunity to go and work there. So that's pretty much what led me to living there, but a lot of it was my love of Japan, honestly. Like, I've always loved Japan, and I worked hard and studied hard, and yeah, it was tough to work towards living there, but I did it. Yeah.
What kind of sparked that love in the first place? What kind of drew you to the culture and I guess the broader Japanese landscape?
Well, this is kind of like a long story. So, like, when you're a kid, you watch anime on TV, but you don't even know what anime is, right? So that pretty much happened to me with a lot of shows. And then when I got my first PC, I looked up the shows again. And then I'm like, whoa, this is in English, and then I'm like, oh, Japanese, oh, Japan, I want to say that I fell in love with the culture first, but really it was anime that got me into the culture, I mean, that's the case for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people's first discovery when it comes to Japan is media, and such. So from that, I started singing in Japanese and then learning it as well. I was like on and off learning it for a while, and then I did my degree and stuff, and then moved there. But like, a lot of love for it, for Japan, it comes from the media, like, because from anime I got into idols, and I'm a panda idol, so like a lot of my love for idols started quite young, and they also helped me learn the language. Like, music really helped me with my accent when I speak Japanese, so yeah.
And you mentioned that work took you over there, and obviously that's well before the time of VTubing, between you going there and you coming back to where you live now. What kind of work drew you there? What kind of experiences opened those doors for you?
Pretty much just related to my degree and stuff. Like, that's what sort of led me there. But the thing is with working in Japan, like, there are lots of jobs you can do there your same job in whatever country you're in, but it does help if you learn the language, of course. But Japan is a place with many opportunities to work in many different fields. I know a lot of people who go there who think they can only do one thing and they can't do anything else, but there are plenty of opportunities to enjoy a really good variety of careers out there. But for me, it was pretty much like the opportunity arose and I took it, but I always wanted to go anyway. Like, I pursued it, like, and then the opportunity to go there became apparent, revealed itself. I don't know, but it all sort of fell into place. So yeah.
What was it actually like living over there? How do you reflect on your time over there?
At first, it was it was like I was really excited a lot. Um, I would actively push myself to go to places and experience new things and go to lots of concerts. But as time went by, I started to realize, man, they don't give you a lot of time off here. And I was starting to grow more tired, and I didn't really have the best diet because I was eating a lot of fast food because I didn't have time to cook, and I'm not a good cook anyway. And I sort of like, when COVID hit, I think that was when like I really slowed down with exploring Japan and going to all these concerts and events. And it just sort of like I don't know, at work was like overwhelming me in a way, so I couldn't really get to experience things. So I think honestly, I did like a Twitter thread about advice if you go to Japan, but when it comes to work in Japan, I honestly think that you need to like a lot of people in Japan who go to Japan do feel like they're trapped once they get their job, and they're worried about losing their visa. This is a good important advice. Even if a job gets you a visa to go to Japan, they don't own you. They don't own your visa. They can't take it away from you. You're free to leave. So yeah, if you do go to Japan, don't feel like you have to stay in the job that got you there. Like, explore more and take advantage of jobs that have a bit more like flexibility. There's a lot of jobs in Japan now that sort of moving away from the traditional stereotypes of the salary worker sort of situation, and a lot of startups, a lot of places that do casual clothes and everything. So I highly recommend looking for those because they will give you a bit more freedom in terms of days off. So yeah, so living in Japan was really like it had its perks, and it was great to go outside and be so close to all the like fun things, because I lived in Tokyo for a lot of the time I was there, and it's so great the trains are amazing as well, but at the same time you have to be very good at time management because time is of the essence. I don't know what to say. Like it's you just gotta be good with your time.
I want to coalesce kind of like the two stories so far. So obviously you moving to Japan and kind of your idolization of the culture and singing in Japanese and all that kind of stuff. A lot of your content, the Panda Idol yourself, revolves around this kind of singing dream. Where does that kind of come from?
Well, I was put into like drama schools and dance schools and singing schools since I was about 3 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, but like it wasn't like a forced thing. It was like my mom was sort of like putting me in lots of different classes to see which one stuck, My brother didn't really have an interest in after school activities, but like I was really interested in all these things you could do. So like my mom tried to put me in gymnastics, horse riding, all sorts. And I'm very grateful for that. And the one that really stuck was performing. And so I started singing, and I had like one of those like little like recorder things, not like like the one you play, but like something to record your singing and stuff. And
okay.
Yeah, I would always want like use every opportunity I could to sing or get on stage and stuff. And from that, I suppose that I just never let go of the singing, because I used to post covers on YouTube. They're all gone now, but like that was like me trying to sing more in Japanese and stuff. But like I have always loved singing and always will. It's something that makes me very happy, and it also releases a lot of stress. And when I moved to Japan, I couldn't sing as much in my apartment. I could go to karaoke, that's great, but like one thing I really missed was just being able to sing in my apartment and not worry about a noise complaint. Yeah. So yeah, like that's pretty much where things started, when I was a kid. So yeah.
And when you were over there, was it kind of like an escape from the work where you could have this thing to fall back on in your rest time and in the spare time, the little spare time that you had?
Oh yeah, karaoke. Going to karaoke in my spare time in Japan was such a stress relief because, like I said, I couldn't really sing at home. It wasn't that expensive either. I mean, I had coupons, so. But um, hmm, like singing was really something that. Oh, sorry. Singing was really something that I was pursuing on the side as well as my work there. So I was always trying my best with it. Attending singing schools and trying out for opportunities. Almost got a record deal as well.
Ooh.
But no, it wasn't meant to be. But I did have singing jobs over there and stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, it was I got to experience new things
Mm.
because of living there. Even though I was stressed out from work and stuff, I still got to have fun, of course.
Mm.
You need it. You seriously need it. So,
Especially when you're working the long days and very little weekend time and all that.
I was working 12 hours, and there was one job I had that was like they also you could work a sixth day a week, and they were like, if you work the sixth day, we'll give you a day in lieu, like we'll give you an extra holiday you can take.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, that's nice, yeah. So I do that, work 6 days a week, and then I'd be like, boss man, can I take a day off? And they'd be like, no. And I'm like, oh, but I have these holiday days, and they're like, yeah, but it doesn't mean you can take them. I'm like, what? So it's kind of sucks, but the only way you could probably take those holiday days is if you were sick, because at this job they gave sick pay in terms of your holiday pay. So so I just like, that was the only way you could actually take a day off if you were sick. So that's the only way I got my holiday pay when I was unwell.
How was that burden on you over the course of your time there?
I've been pretty honest on my streams about like how tough all of my jobs were, but they were all tough in different ways. But the burden is that the work culture. There's a lot of like how do I say this? There was a lot of times where I did call in sick, and my bosses would guilt trip me into still coming in.
Mm.
So I always felt like I was burdening other people, especially when I worked in places that didn't have many staff. So it always felt like they were like, yeah, sure, you can take a day off, but you're really putting us in a disadvantage here, Pandora. You're really making things really tough for us. So it was like pretty like I don't know, mind games, I guess, sometimes.
Mm.
So like, I'm not saying that's the same for all jobs. There are going to be some jobs in the UK where the bosses play mind games on you, but there's definitely, if you are someone who's looking to work in Japan, there are definitely jobs that are much nicer, I promise.
How does this all kind of tie into VTubing for you, and how you discovered the medium and why you ultimately decided to become a VTuber?
Well, you know, I told you like that my first VTuber was you know, the whole live and Nijisanji VTubers, but when I think about it, obviously I knew Kizuna Ai, but I remember going to Ikebukuro one day, and I walked past a shop, and there's a lot of shops in Ikebukuro called K-Books, and they sell like old anime goods or video game goods, well, like secondhand, and they have several different shops dedicated to several different things. And there was one shop that was doing anime goods, but then it swapped, and it said like VTubers and stuff, and I saw a cardboard cutout of Subaru, and I was like, oh, she's got a cool hat. I didn't really think much about her, but that was probably the first time I saw someone from Hololive. And then when I finally did discover Hololive, I was like, oh, that's the girl I saw that time. So this is what VTubing is. Soka, I see. But you know, like, Kizuna Ai was always big in Japan, but I didn't really, until maybe like 2019, I didn't really think about this as a medium I could pursue. Like, I didn't really think VTubing was a thing. I just thought Kizuna Ai was just, that's that. Um, and I wasn't really watching streamers either. I mean, I watched people play Jackbox, but
Not one to be browsing the Twitch front page every day looking for the next stream to watch the Chuck on the telly or something.
I didn't have a television.
Oh, there you go.
Japan. I did when I first moved there. Because the apartment came with furnishings, but I never had it on really.
Yeah.
Unless for the PS4. And then when I moved to my second place, I didn't have a TV, so yeah, I didn't really. It's weird, like when I moved to Japan, I actually didn't really watch a lot of anime or Japanese television.
Yeah.
I watched way less than I did when I didn't live there. No. Yeah, VTubing sort of came into my life 2019, and I remember watching this Niji Sanji concert that was so cool, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. And before that, I'd seen clips of Coco. It's just the algorithm pushing them, right?
Yeah.
And here we are today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of, I mean, how did you kind of come into being like, oh, this is just something I can watch, and turning it into, this is actually something I can personally pursue and personally do, and it lines up with all of this prior experience that I have with all this performing that I've done and all those loves and interests?
I was at a place in my life that was like, what can I do? I want to continue performing, but I don't know. The road feels like it's like, what do you say? Like blocked, or like, I don't know. It just feels like the path I was on was getting more difficult. And I was trying so hard to pursue it, and I kept failing. And that's pretty normal in performing arts. It's a tough gig, but when I found VTubing, I was like, I did more research, and I was like, wait, can I do this? These people sing, these people dance. Oh my goodness, this is perfect for me. And then I started auditioning for things. I got really far with one, but it wasn't meant to be. And then the first debut I watched was my friend Tokimori Aoi, and that was the first debut I watched live. And I sort of like, I was trying for, sorry, I was auditioning and stuff, and it wasn't going well. And then I got close, and then I didn't get it. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll just do it myself. And then I seeked out an artist. I did my research, and I got my original Pandora model. And yeah, the rest is history.
And all that previous experience that you had in performing, whether it be like the singing, the theater, all the dancing and that side of things, how were you able to draw on that when you came into VTubing? But also, how different was VTubing compared to those previous performing arts environments?
Well, I mean, the big one is obviously you can't move around as much, right? So the thing is with acting, you can be physical. I mean, sometimes you need to use your emotions more, but I love doing physical comedy. So that's to go from dancing and moving around to only being able to move your head pretty much. It's a bit different, obviously, but I think the biggest one that sort of like rolled over is probably my experience with voice acting, because I trained in it, and then obviously singing as well. But the main part of VTubing culture nowadays is streaming, right? So I mean, we have obviously making videos and producing covers, but the main thing is streaming. That's what most people consider as being a VTuber, right? You know, it's not all of it, but I'd say being a VTuber, a lot of people will do it through through streaming, and then content creation, and then covers, sort of that sort of like pattern maybe. So when it came to streaming, I had experience as a radio DJ, but that sort of helped in the sense that when you're a radio DJ, sometimes people, you don't, well, all the time nobody talks back to you, right?
Yeah.
So that helped me. The voice acting helped because, like, I don't put on a voice, but like, I like to do impressions. And like that helps with comedy. But it still feels like a whole different ball game, like, especially when I did performing, like, it's not always doing monologues and stuff. You bounce off other people, and sometimes you can't do that in VTubing unless you collab and stuff, right? So yeah.
Did VTubing then, when you were in Japan, give you a different social outlet or a different outlet altogether that you didn't have previously when you were living there?
It gave me something to work towards, because it was a lot of hard work and preparation. Like, a lot of people, I think VTubing is so easy to start when it's not. I mean, no, it is, because there are cheaper alternatives. But what I'm talking about is like the overlays and getting everything ready, and you don't need to have all these things, but like
The custom
there's a
models.
lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things you have to, if you want to take it to the 1000%, you want to have a lot of custom things that are just for you, and I heavily focused on covers as well. I wanted to push out so many covers. But pretty much, in terms of social stuff, I made friends. Like, there was a surprising amount of English-speaking VTubers. Well, actually, not so surprising, but like, surprising in the fact that I can't believe if I hadn't become a VTuber, I wouldn't have met these people, because they've made such a positive impact on my life that I can't imagine them not being in it, you know?
Yeah. And what do you kind of wish you knew about VTubing, even with all the experience that you had coming into it, that kind of shocked you when you started out and kind of was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. This is not kind of what I signed up for.
Well, pretty much like what I said earlier. I'm kind of contradicting myself, because I did go whole ham. I did like push out, like, I had free covers ready by the time I was debuting. I had overlays and all this stuff, and I made so many things, right? But when it comes to the most expensive part of VTubing, and overlays are expensive too, right? But the model and stuff, I wish I'd known about the free models, and I wish I just streamed as a PNG, because like, even though I'm okay with it, I feel like there are some people who perhaps they spend a lot of money on their model and getting everything set up, only to feel like it doesn't suit them VTubing. So, like, I wish I just started streaming like with my PNG and just built that like momentum up inside of me, because a big thing you have to practice with being a VTuber, because sometimes you have a comfy chat that just wants to chill, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing you need to practice as a VTuber, I think, is talking to yourself. And I did have a bit of experience with that with the radio DJ stuff, but I think that if you're getting into the VTuber space, and you're waiting for your model, don't just start with a PNG and get that experience up first. I think a lot of people, my thing was like, I felt like I had to have a grand debut, and everything beforehand was just like, I shouldn't stream yet. I got to do the debut and stuff. But no, I think it's very smart for the VTubers that start streaming and build up that community and stuff, and then have a big debut.
And then you got an event that you're going to have a dedicated fan base that's going to enjoy that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like? We've spoken all about like your time in Japan, and then obviously now your VTubing journey. What was it like actually leaving and making the decision to return home?
It was a tricky one. It was a rushed one for sure. But I was at a point where like I was working 12 hours a day and living off of McDonald's. I lived next door to 2 McDonald's pretty much.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I do love chicken nuggets, but like my diet I think wasn't that good, but also like my health as well. Like I pretty much was just like, I think it's time. And sort of like I had a meanie bobini boss. And he was so mean. He was so mean. Like I'd be like, check my phone quickly, just check the time. And he'd be like, Pandora, get off your phone! Oh, by the way, here's my phone. Look at my dogs. My dogs are so cute. Oh my goodness, Pandora. Like, but I mean, he did more than that. But like,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a hypocritical thing to do. But like, I was pretty much tired of the work culture, and like I'd missed a lot of things back home, and of course, like I'm never gonna rule out like going back to Japan, but I think I've ruled out working in Japan again, like because I felt like living there, I was living to work and not working to live. So I do miss a lot of people there, and I didn't get to say goodbye to a lot of them because it was like New Year's time, and people were like visiting their homes and stuff like that, and busy. But we are very fortunate that we live in the age of the internet, right? So I can still communicate with a lot of my friends. I did have to, it was sad, like getting rid of my furniture that I mean that sounds really silly, but like I had a really nice sofa. But I think I'd only recently that year discovered the greatness of an air fryer, and I did a graduation stream for it and everything.
I remember that now, actually.
Yeah. It was actually, I think a fan suggested that, and I was like, that's a great idea. So I did it. Yeah.
I guess, how do you feel now that you are home? Do you feel like you made the right decision?
I mean, there'll always be a parallel universe out there where I didn't come back, and I always do wonder what that Pandora is up to. Like, did she get a new job? Did she do this and that? But coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? Like, it's I live on this timeline, and I'm very happy. I think I made 100% the right decision. Decision. I mean, there are things about UK I don't like. The travel, for example, the trains are terrible. Everything apart from fruit was cheap in Japan. Apart from taxes. But I feel like if I hadn't have left then, I don't know if I'd have left later on, or like, I don't know. I feel like Japan's gonna always be there, but family isn't, right? And I think it's important for me to be here, but also a big thing was that being here, I'm able to pursue content creation and VTubing and streaming full time. So I'm able to work on myself as well as do this, because before I was like, I'd be working for those 12 hours, and then I would either VTube, I would either stream VTube, whatever we're gonna call it, before my work or after, or on the weekends. And perhaps that had a play in me going out less and exploring less, but I was so in love with streaming. But here I can there's less things for me to do.
Mm.
There's less things for me to do here. It's harder to travel, but I get to pursue it this full time, and it makes me really happy.
Mm. Do you still feel like you have some unfinished business and goals to tick off in VTubing that you can now explore, because you know it's not a job or anything, or a career that you can have to leave behind? It's something that you can pursue no matter where you are.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that were easier in Japan in terms of VTubing, but like for example, every time I wanted to record a cover, I did get my friend who's a sound engineer, and we'd go to a studio, like a professional studio with his Newman mic, and I'd be able to record things professionally. That was awesome. But at the same time, it's sort of like, well, Pandora, you were going all that way and paying so much money just to record free covers when you could do this at home for cheap, you know? Not cheap, but you know, cheaper. So it was I don't know, it was, being a VTuber there was a lot more tricky to do the singing part, I guess. But and I couldn't scream, I couldn't be loud and stuff like that. So I think a lot of my streams, when I look back on them, were a lot tamer. But I
Are you sure that's not just being assimilated back into British culture though?
no, if anything, you'd be more safer here, but nah. But I think that my streams here have a bit more energy. Like I feel like when I was in Japan, I was probably apologizing for being tired or just waking up, stuff like that. And I here I can just stream with a good energy. I don't need as much McDonald's anymore. The Happy Meals in Japan were really cute though. The toys were really cute. But
they don't do them like they used to.
No, I mean, I know the reason they want to be eco-friendly. That's fine and stuff. That's what they gotta do. But Japan, McDonald's has like toys that are literally like McDonald's hats, McDonald's badge toy, a little McDonald's drive-through window toy,
wow,
a little cash register. It was so cute. But yeah. So there's sorry, there's certain things that are a lot easier here. Certain things that aren't, certain things that are. But I'd say being here is like I can really push myself to create more things. But I feel like recently, I don't know, I keep saying that I'm gonna push out more shorts and do more videos and stuff, but I know now that I'm pursuing VTubing full time, I'm spending a lot more time on the computer. And here's the thing, my job, I spent probably a good amount, like 90% of it on the computer, then would go home and be on the computer, but it just felt different, you know?
Yeah.
But because I'm spending a lot more time on the computer for this one thing, I'm getting a bit tired out a bit more, so I've been taking a bit more breaks recently, which I think has been important for me.
Yeah.
Big
life changes.
Another thing was, in Japan I didn't have a pet, and I've always had a pet in my life. So my dog's not really cuddly or anything, but it's just like I missed having that comfort
companion
of a pet. Yeah, companionship. And dogs are wonderful. I love dogs. Sorry.
No, that's all good. I think to wrap it all up with a nice little bow, with the full-time content creation and settling back into home, is that singing dream for you still alive?
Oh yeah, because I think that in the past people felt like they had to be in a certain place or know certain people to become a singer. But now you just need a microphone and a dream. Seriously, because you can teach yourself how to mix, you can, teach yourself how to time and tune, but like there's so many free assets and free teaching materials out there to help you grow your skills. But I no, the dream is never dead. Like the dream just goes at its own pace. One thing I've learned is that with VTubing, like especially in the first year, I pushed out a cover every single month, and
Wow.
I was trying to keep that momentum up. um, but I realized that it's okay to go at my own pace. It's okay to take breaks. I felt when I lived in Japan, I felt like I really was pushing myself. Like I was doing, like I said, I was doing like the early mornings or late nights VTubing. I
Mm.
was pushing myself because I felt like I was missing out a lot. Um, and I felt like I had to work the extra mile because I did have this full-time job that prevented me from like doing more hours as VTubing. I did have a very limited time where I could communicate with my friends. Um, so I felt like I had to put in the extra mile when I could. So there would be times when like I remember one day I was streaming right before work. Like I got up 3 hours
Mm.
earlier and did like a 2-hour stream, but the internet cut out and
Ah.
it wouldn't come back, and I felt so bad. I felt like I was acting as if it was my fault because that's what it felt like, because I felt like if I didn't have to go to work I could have fixed this, but I have to go to work to make a living, right? But I kind of felt like I was really sad, and my chat was really understanding, like it's not your fault, it happens. But like all I could think of at the time was like, if I had more time and I could have fixed this, and we could have had a good stream, because I was at a point where I only had limited times per week where I could stream, and I felt like I wasn't able to do much. So I was putting in extra effort when I could, like making content, recording, making weird videos and stuff.
Mm.
So I feel like I really pushed myself. And I may be eating too many chicken nuggets. I may be a little bit lazy sometimes, but one thing I refuse to be called is not a hard worker, because I think that I've worked so hard in my VTubing career.
Mm.
I think that I should be so proud of myself and should stop putting myself down for just the simplest little mistake or internet crashing issue.
Yep.
But I'm getting a bit emotional, but I'm proud of the work I've done, and like of course, like it doesn't stop, the grind doesn't stop. But I need to one thing I really need to do, and I think a lot of VTubers need to learn, that it's not about the big wins. A lot of people are like, see, like, I got an announcement, big win, I'm doing this and this, and that's fantastic, that's wonderful, and that should be celebrated. But
Mm.
I think we in anything in life, we often forget about the small victories, right? The little wins we get, like throughout the day, like, oh, I got an extra nugget in my packet of nuggies, which actually happened to me. The little wins, or like, oh, I gained a follower, or like, well, like, or oh, I made a friend. I think a lot of people, they do celebrate them, but not enough. We should celebrate the little victories. I read something that was like, if you go into a supermarket, and usually you know what you want, right? When you go into a supermarket,
Mm.
it's very rare that maybe you'll find something new that isn't like new, like, new, buy me now, I'm new, like that sort of thing. I read something that was like, if you go into a supermarket and turn off your autopilot, it's actually really fun. You'll definitely find some things you've never seen before, and you'll be in there for a lot longer and have a good time. And when I think about it, that's so true, because I was always, especially living in Japan, I was always like, time is of the essence. I need to
Mm.
get in, get out,
Mm.
I can't be messing around and stuff. But when I think about it, like going into a place and lying to yourself that it's all new, that you haven't been there before, um, it's exciting. And I think that's something that, like, I definitely lost with VTubing. Like, I forgot to I forgot. I was so like focused on my goals a bit too much sometimes. But
Mhm.
I mean, it's fine to focus on your goals. But like that, I missed a lot of the small victories and the little things and stuff.
Mm.
Like I don't know, like uh, mm, getting through a game, or just hitting a little goal with VTubing. No, with covers. I was just so focused on like I want this, and that's fine, but
Mm.
I missed out on the celebrating the little things. And so life is really short. Life is really, really short. And one thing that did happen in Japan is my grandpa passed away.
Mm.
And when the thing is, like, in Japan, you technically, there's different mourning periods you're legally allowed off for your grandparents or certain types of relatives. If it's your parent, it's a bit longer. If it's your grandparent, it's 3 days. And my boss wouldn't let me take any time off. And I think at that point, like, I was like, yeah, no, this is the life is not about, like, why am I working if I'm not able to like be there for my family? I don't know. Basically, I'm pretty much, what I'm trying to say is that the journey is really important to celebrate everything in, and don't just get is it tunnel visioned?
Yeah.
What's the phrase?
Carried away.
Yeah, with just aiming for the goals, or aiming for this, and or doing this, or accomplishing this. Like, enjoy the little things that make up the journey, because life is really short and we only get to experience some things one time. And people will come and go whilst we're maybe too focused on like other things. And yeah. Yeah. So that's another thing, I guess, about Japan. If you make sure you check out your the legal system, because you never know. Like, you need to make sure you're well versed, and make sure you do get your time off for things. So don't be overworked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is some very sage advice from a very wise panda idol over there.
I'm 422, so.
Yeah. Pandora, it's been so wonderful to hear all these little parts of your story, and I wish you all the best on continuing to pursue that wonderful content creation dream.
Pursue?
Oh, you know, achieve it entirely.
No. It's just like, earlier I was like, decision. You sound like me.
And call it, okay, we can call it on the accent, alright.
No, man, I'm always messing up things like that. For the longest time, I said millennium.
Oh no.
Instead of
a millennium.
So.
Yeah. But no, Pandora, thank you so much for going on Behind the Model. It's been so wonderful to hear your story.
I had a great time. It was really nice, and thank you for letting me ramble. And I hope that, like, everyone's VTuber journey is different, but I hope that whatever goals you have, even though it's good to have goals, I hope that you also remember to celebrate even the smallest things, not just with VTubing, obviously, but in life. And yeah, be a good egg.
Be a good egg, indeed. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Utano Pandora is the latest guest on my series Behind the Model, diving into the stars who make VTubing the creative medium we love. If you're interested in more of Pandora's story, you can read the accompanying article linked in the description. You can also find all of Pandora's social media channels below. While you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, and if you have any feedback, drop it in the comments or hit me up on Twitter. I always make sure I read it. Until next time, thank you.